Page 5 now. The new and improved CEO of Facebook facing Congress, Mark Zuckerberg, has been going to personality class over the past few days in order to try and win over Congress with his testimony. It's not Zuckerberg's lack of personality that's the problem here at Facebook, at least not to its users. The problem is his business model, selling our personal data. And Congress wants some answers about that and Russian advertisers and political bias at Facebook. However, getting tangible answers from the suddenly gregarious Zuckerberg probably ain't that easy. Joining me now on the Daily Ledger Page 5 beat, Morgan Murtaugh. And Morgan, really, that's kind of a sideshow here. To me, it's all about the government's role here. And I believe the government has virtually zero role here. And now they're even talking about, some are, a government filter for a birth of the First Amendment. Now, last I checked, I don't remember the term government filter as part of the First Amendment.
Well, government's role is debatable here. Zuckerberg is doing more than just personality class, however, to win over Congress. He also went door to door to lobby Congress Monday in private meetings preceding the testimony. But several senators have already made up their minds when it comes to regulating the social media giant, despite his apology.
It's clear now that we didn't do enough to prevent these tools from being used for harm as well. And that goes for fake news, for foreign interference in elections and hate speech, as well as developers and data privacy. We didn't take a broad enough view of our responsibility, and that was a big mistake. And it was my mistake, and I'm sorry.
Mark Zuckerberg has officially began his testimony before Congress, but members have expressed less concern over an apology and more concern on Facebook's plan to solve the problem.
You know, my biggest worry in all this is that Facebook doesn't have the answers. What I want to know is what he's going to do about the problem and whether he has the ability to solve these problems.
Senator Kennedy's concern that Facebook doesn't know exactly who has our data is echoed by media experts.
As we found out in the Cambridge Analytica case, of course, that company expressed to Facebook that they had removed, they deleted the data, but it turned out they hadn't. So there really is a whole gray area, if you will, that Facebook just can't know and doesn't probably know.
Senator Blumenthal also expressed his concerns when it comes to big tech.
Consumers give it up only because they are not informed about what the consequences are.
Blumenthal encourages government oversight, which would force explicit consumer consent.
That information is there. They can go into their settings and adjust their ad settings, how they're being targeted, but most users are blissfully unaware. And so just making the user more informed, that needs to become more of a regulation, a policy.
Facebook marketing expert Mari Smith tells One America that this investigation will come with new regulations, setting a new precedent when it comes to data privacy.
Setting new policies, new regulations that will actually affect the whole industry. And then another topic is really addressing the fact that Facebook has become a monopoly and may have other situations to have to deal with in that case.
Regardless of what happens, one thing is crystal clear. The decisions and policy that follow this investigation will set the precedent for what's to come with big tech and protecting private data.
Okay. First of all, this is the Facebook business model. It is collection and then turning around and selling of data. They don't make all their money on ads. They make it through giving this information to third parties. And if we don't want to be a part of that, yeah, you can adjust your settings, or you can just not take part in Facebook. And there are millions and millions of Americans who are opting out. It's my argument that we don't need the federal government here. Yeah, they can ask questions, but if you look down the road, you can see where this thing is going. In California now, they're talking about some sort of legislation that might create some sort of content czar? I don't read that in the First Amendment.
Yeah, well, some of the senators are arguing the fact that if these social media giants don't step up to protect personal data like they are supposed, or like it's expected of them, then none of us will have privacy anymore. So a lot of these senators are stepping in saying, we got to do something if you're not going to.
Well, okay. Again, leave it to the free market. If people don't want their data mined and abused by Facebook, then get the heck off of Facebook. There's no gun to anybody's head to be on Facebook. And ultimately, the free market would then teach Facebook a lesson, wouldn't it, if everybody opted out of Facebook? That's the way this thing should. Congress can ask all the questions it wants, but Congress, in the end, because of this thing we call the First Amendment, needs to back off. Morgan, thanks.